Good evening, everybody. You all are welcome to the Urban Talk Series 4, Urban Nepal Challenges and Initiatives, organized by the Institute of Urban Designers, Sri Lanka. Especially, I warmly welcome our speaker, Architect Planner Sarita Seresta Maski, and two moderators, Planner Dr. Upuli Pereira and Architect Tisara Thanapati.
According to the program that I would like to welcome all the participants as well as the speakers as well as the resource persons to the fourth urban talk that is organized by the Institute of Urban Designers in Sri Lanka. And briefly mention that institute is working really towards the sort of building of the linkages as well as the connections, and also to bring some kind of knowledge and the academic as well as the practice experience from the resource persons from outside of Sri Lanka. And in fact, in this way that we try to sort of offer our members as well as the other members from the other institutions kind of some kind of knowledge as well as the experience how urban design is practiced, particularly in the context of urban development, city planning and architecture. So I must again formally welcome you on behalf of the Institute council members as well as all members of the Institute, this forum. And I don't think that I should really go through the slides for those who really know that Nepal is a wonderful country. I remember that about a few years back, I was invited by the University of Kathmandu for a conference where I met some of the colleagues there. But Professor Ramesh, I think I could not meet you there at that time. But it was really fascinating to see that how the urban planning issues are prevailing there, as well as various other conditions that, extremely the land situations are very much unique to the country because it's at the edge of the mountains. And I see that a lot of inaccessible places as well, and also difficult to access those areas. And where the Kathmandu Valley is the most populated area, I think that all we can listen from our speaker. And interestingly, city or mostly the country is affected with a lot of natural disasters as well. In the sense here, some pictures that I found. But at the same time, it's a highly rich architecture and urban heritage. You can see particularly in the town center area, the whole part of the town, Daruba Square and so on, quite amazing place to be. And also I remember Bhaktapur when I visited that most of the buildings are supported with props and so on after the earthquake. And I hope that perhaps some of this has been rectified. And it is quite amazing the planning and also the urban design that has done with these cities. So there's no introduction as such, but just few slides to refresh our audience on the theme that we this time selected: Urban Nepal Challenges and Initiatives. So basically, simple program we have. So first we start with the urban talk by architect planner Sarita Maski. And I met her 2016 in Colombo, as well as when we travel around, I think at various conferences and so on, where Professor Maski, her husband also joining. So in India, many times we met and quite interesting meetings. And I must thank personally as well to architect planner Sarita Maske for accepting our invitation and doing this presentation for our participants here. So then secondly, after the speech, we move forward with the moderation discussion, where I also appreciate the assistance given by Dr. Upuli Pereira. She's a town planner, and as well as one of our colleagues, architect Tisara Sanapati, as moderators, so urban planner and architect for this discussion. And so this is a kind of thing program that we do today. Again, thanking all of you, and I now invite all of you to attend with the program.
Thank you, Dr. Janaka Jesundara, President, Institute of Urban Designers, for his brief introduction to the theme. I'll give a brief introduction about our today's resource person, architect planner Sarita Seresta Maski, completed her March from Belarusian Polytechnic Institute, Belarus in 1987, and MSc in Urban Planning, Land and Housing from Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok in 1994. She started her career working as an architect, engineer, and senior divisional engineer, urban planner in then Department of Housing and Urban Planning and current Department of Urban Development and Building Construction, Barbara Mahal, Kathmandu. She took various responsibilities such as project manager of the project implementation unit, urban and environmental improvement project, planning, design and implementation of reconstruction of insurgency affected government buildings located in district headquarters, people housing program for the poor and disadvantaged group of the society in different districts of Nepal, and preparation of long-term development plans and programs for the municipalities in Nepal. In January 2015, she became the Joint Secretary of Ministry of Urban Development, and she's held the post of Project Director of Urban Governance and Development Program, Emerging Town Project, Deputy Director General, Urban Development and Building Construction, Superintendent Engineer of then Building Construction and Maintenance Division, and Secretary of High Level Problem Resolution Committee on apartment housing in March 2020. She retired from the post of Joint Secretary MOD. I invite you to present.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank the organizer for this opportunity, and I also thanks Dr. Janaka Vijay Sundara for inviting me in such a important urban talk. So I also like to thanks the moderator who gave in detail I think you got my CV from somewhere, and it is too detailed, I think. Thank you so much. So today I am going to talk about, I think you have given some background of Nepal. So I am thinking I will give some short background of Nepal. Then the challenges that we are facing today, and initiation that different organization is taking place, and my remarks, it is personal remarks and opinion. So I will end with personal remarks and opinion. So ecologically, Nepal is divided into 3 zones: high Himalayan zones, plain area, and hilly areas. You see 2/3 of the area is covered by hills. Nepal has gone through civil war more than 1 decade, and peace treaty was signed in 2006. The country became Federal Democratic of Nepal in 2008, and on 2015, new constitution was promulgated, and election completed, 3 tiers of election completed in 2007. So the restructure is completed, and we became the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal. After restructuring the country, there are 3 tiers of government: 1 federal government, 7 state provincial government, and 77 district, and 753 local bodies. So Nepal, the total area of Nepal is 147,000 square kilometer. Population is more than 29 millions. After restructuring, Nepal has more than 753 municipalities. The urban municipalities are mainly located in highways, that is mid-hill highways in the mid area, and postal highways, and east-west highways. There are 3 highways that links from east to west. There are 6 metropolitans, 11 sub-metropolitan, and 276 municipalities. Apart from that, we have 460 rural municipalities. Municipalities are clustered along the highways, and you can see a greater number of municipalities are located in eastern part of Nepal. The graph on the right side shows how municipality has been grown from 10 to 293. So within very short period of time, from 2011 to 2017, the number of municipalities has grown from 53 to 293. And urban population has increased from 17 to 62. So we call it municipal population. We are not calling urban population because we lack even basic infrastructure and services in municipalities. So this picture shows how urbanization is going on in Kathmandu Valley, one of the sector of Kathmandu Valley. It is very densely populated, and average growth rate is around 4%. Similarly, the other part of Kathmandu Valley, it is said that Kathmandu, Nepal is a least urbanized, the fastest fastest urbanizing country in the South Asia. This picture shows that how the traditional settlement that have different fabric, that is open spaces, cultural heritage fabrics, has surrounded by the new urban development that is on the right side without any hierarchy. And this is called the urban development approach, that is land pooling, the tools of urban development, which consist of open space only 5 to 7%. And there is no hierarchy of open space, no cultural elements. And each plots have approach to the motorable approach. So we call it land pooling or land readjustment. So this picture is from Pokhara. Pokhara is very famous for tourist area, and I took this picture, I think 5 years back. I think now it became more urbanized than that we see today. This is from Bharatpur Metropolitan Cities. This is one of the dense cities of Kathmandu, Nepal. So there are a long list of challenges, not talking about unemployment. Basically, cities are grown organically and they are very less intervened for development. So they lack even basic infrastructure services. I will show you in pictures these all challenges, how we are coping with. So basic infrastructure challenges means I am indicating the physical infrastructure, that is road, water supply, sewerage, drainage system, solid waste management, electricity, and telecommunication. So these are the physical infrastructure that we lack in our cities. But within these facilities, electricity, now we have almost uninterrupted electricity, and telecommunication is better now. The service is much more better than before, but the remaining services are very inadequate and poor. So this figure shows uncontrolled and haphazard urban sprawl, not even in Kathmandu Valley. It happening even in outside the capital city. So if you go around the Kathmandu city, you find the pedestrian is very narrow and messy wires and electrical poles, and parking area is not very managed. And we like the pedestrians are very unfriendly for disabled. You cannot see disabled going around in the city because the pedestrian, the infrastructure is not friendly. The high-rise buildings stocks are shown here. In Nepal, the buildings are dominated by owner built. Only the few housing complexes are built by developers. So you can see how ugly these buildings are. These are the street, narrow street located nearby core area. And you see abandoned old buildings, and the process is going to replace by new buildings. And whether these buildings are address the existing bylaws, building codes, and available documents, policy documents. So it is a big challenge even for disasters. This slide shows how property is being subdivided. You can see the very traditional element being replaced by new construction. And I think these traditional elements will be sold in coming days, and all these buildings will be replaced by ugly high-rise buildings. Urban flooding phenomena is regular in Kathmandu and outside the Kathmandu Valley. It is because inadequate collection of solid waste management, under capacity of drainage system, and erratic rainfall. The big challenge that we are facing now is sinking traditional structure among high-rise building. You can see the new hotel is coming up just in front of this traditional structure. This is the normal view that we can get in Kathmandu. So polluted water bodies, I have already said inadequate solid waste management. I'll go quickly. And one of the major urban infrastructure, that is water supply, is very inadequate. At the moment, we waited Melamchi Water Supply Project for more than 23 years. And finally, it was in water flow test. And the local newspaper making headings on how it took 23 years for Nepal to take Melamchi water to Kathmandu. So there are political, technical, and so many other reasons why it took a long time. So the water supply is the life for urban population. This is the major service that they need daily. Until we get this Melamchi water supply, I think that maybe we need another Melamchi water supply for another 10 years. Because total water demand is 350 MLD and supply is about 180 MLD on an average. But this Melamchi water supply project is 340 MLD capacity. So it will be it will adequate for this moment, but for growing population, we need more projects. The urban open spaces are mostly unutilized. You can see on the left side of picture, and the structure that made, very ugly structure that made, we call it engineered structure. If you go around the city, you can see landmark structure that is, we call it engineered structure, mainly designed by engineers. There is no touch from architect, urban planners, urban designers. So that is the dilemma we can find in Kathmandu and other cities. If you go around the traditional areas that Dr. Vijay Sundara has shown, it is, it is in scale, it is in like hierarchical scale. So you feel like it is, the whole area is well planned. But if you go in fringe area, surrounding area of Kathmandu, core areas, so you can find this type of spaces that is not utilized much. So few days back, we have high level of pollution in Kathmandu, and government has announced closing of schools from today to till Saturday, Sunday, Friday. Saturday is holiday in Nepal. So air quality index is more than 50. That is, air quality index should be less than 50. But in Kathmandu, it has increased 2-3 times. In some areas, it has increased many times. So it is like closing the school and education institution happened first time in Nepal. So we have not felt before this type of pollution. So this slide shows how road widening drive in 2011 has taken place. Mainly this drive was vehicle-centric drive. After this widening, road widening, more vehicles are plying, and I will show how the pedestrian wall was built in my later slides. This is 2015 earthquake, how devastating it was. The most of the buildings are, you see, traditional building, which were not maintained well, underexploited, and vulnerable to even the lesser Richter of scale of earthquake. So if you see this picture on the top. Even the concrete building that is not comply with building codes are also affected. So this is the open space where almost 7,000 people were there during this earthquake. A lot of traditional buildings, heritage sites were damaged, and reconstruction and rehabilitation work is undertaking. Some of the buildings are heritage sites are now completed. So, concluding the challenge that we are facing, I like to show this slide. Most of the young people, young Nepalese people express that they want the city with clean river and water, this good transportation system, and open spaces, walkable and biking zones, and free encroachment at all heritage sites. A lot of encroachment in all heritage sites. And also the free from jumbling wires on poles. So this is the summary of people's aspiration in the city. So coming to the concluding the challenges, I want to talk about the fund, adequate fund that we cannot afford for higher order of infrastructure development and capacity building, need capacity building of the government, especially new municipalities, and land management became very important for infrastructure, but it is difficult to afford in cities. Private sector are not much in urban infrastructure and services, and there is very difficult having coordination with different agencies involved in development, urban development. And I think it is very difficult to make and involve population, people, communities, and individual in development. With this, I will talk about how different agencies, individuals, communities are making effort to cope with these challenges. There are a lot of initiatives that has been taking place in cities. For development of infrastructure and services, there are dedicated cycle lane, use of public spaces, And we are now acknowledge the traditional architecture in modern built environment. And we felt that reconstruction and rehabilitation requires detailed investigation and research and need proper planning and tools for urban development. You can see on the left side two pictures, that is low height with greeneries. That boundary wall, that is low height with greeneries. This is the very normal scenario we can see around the city. The individuals are making to make the neighborhood green along the roadside. And these are the scenario that we see in Kathmandu. Along the roadside, along the highway, nowadays more green. So this is a new this is a new urban fabric that we can see in the Kathmandu Valley. It is started only few months back that the boundary wall, high, tall boundary wall has been dismantled and made transparent so that the normal people, pedestrian, can see the buildings. This drive is very famous in Lalitpur municipalities. The mayor of Lalitpur municipality has started this drive mainly in public buildings. The Nepal Cycle Society has started to propose cycle lane in Lalitpur. Again, it is in Lalitpur. They have planned to construct 65 kilometers of lane, but at the moment they have constructed only 5 kilometers. That has created a lot of debate, but the young cyclists, they have succeeded in some way. So this is the new phenomena in Kathmandu, because we have plain area in Nepal, that is Terai. People used to have ride cycle there, but in Kathmandu it is new. It is new phenomenon. And they are not much succeed, but they are trying, the cycle societies is trying to have cycle lane in different part of Kathmandu Valley. So traditionally we have very rich architecture. Now we can see some of the new building has adopted that traditional architecture. This is the building that they have electrical incineration, and it is constructed by the site of very famous Hindu temple, Pashupatinath. So most of the temples, squares, complexes were affected by 2015 Gorkha earthquake, and some of them are repaired and rehabilitated and waiting for tourists to arrive in spring season. And you can see there are Nepalese tourists. This is again a very famous Rani Pokhari. There was a long debate whether this Pokhari, this pond, Pokhari means pond should be rehabilitated from the perspective of business, or it should be remains as before. So there was a long debate, and finally they agreed to construct it. It was before. So it is, I think, 17th century heritage site, and now it is an operation. And these temples in the middle, you can see temples in the middle is open in certain occasions. And there are very interesting recharge system within this complex. So it has ground recharge system, rainwater, and stone conduit. It is said that this pond had been recharged with stone conduit networking, but most of that networking being destroyed by high-rise building coming around the ponds. So this is how traditional complexes, ponds have been disturbed by new construction. So we are doing a lot of projects that is called New Town Project, IUDP, Integrated Urban Development Plan and Projects, Regional Urban Development Plan, Secondary Town Integrated Urban and Environmental Improvement Project, UGDP, UGIIP. So these are the projects that are mainly focused on municipalities. I'll show you the picture later how these projects has been taking place. In Nepal, urban sector has given less priorities. It is very interesting to know that urban sector is given priorities in 10th, 15 years plan only. Before that, it was not pronounced, not included in planning, national planning. At the moment, we are having 15 years, 5-year plan, and urban development sector is mentioned only in 10th year plan. So urban sector is not in priorities. Ministry of Urban Development is established only 8 years back. So it is still new and it has long way to be implement its scope, vision and mission. Under these ministries, there is Department of Urban Development and Building Construction, and the ministry has lot of guidelines, acts, policy formulated, reviewed, and department has to implement the all projects that has been formulated by the ministry. These policy, acts, guidelines, how these policy acts and guidelines have been formulated, that I want to talk a little bit about it. Normally, we do not have research for formulating policy acts and guidelines. We used to have consultation with professional, with other related stakeholders, and come up with policy and acts. It is not easy, it's a long process, a number of consultation with different stakeholders, and mainly we rely on retired bureaucrats who has gone through all the ups and downs and who knows who know the working procedure and gone through all this implementation aspect. The most important guidelines that we have formulated recently is Nepal Urban Road Standard. And we have planning norms and standard 2013, but we need revision because it is formulated before restructuring the country. And similarly, we have Urban Development Acts. This act is drafted since a long time and it has to be finalized soon. The Urban Development Act is one of the vital document because it has mentioned the number of approach, the design approach, the planning approach, and it also there is provision of normally in Nepal, we do not have policy, we do not have the like institution where we can accept our plans and the plan of these cities. So Urban Development Act has included a council where there will be representative from related stakeholders and they will accept this plan. So these are the major provision that we have included in Urban Development Act. But policy acts and regulation have been prepared, but it is not much transfer in the ground, because most of the policies, acts and standard are not much implemented. So this is the scenario in Nepal. There is this is the complex of wastewater treatment plant in Kathmandu Valley. A lot of initiation in there is a lot of initiation going on for the wastewater treatment plant in Kathmandu Valley. You see this picture. This is prepared in 2000. Location of different wastewater treatment plant, and according to this plan, we are having a number of construction going on at the moment. So this slide shows how traditional settlement is. And there is a study that taken place how this traditional settlement can be expanded to the surrounding areas. And when I was visiting All Urban Forum in 2020, I saw a picture how they have expanded the old settlements to the fringe areas. And this is, I think, limited to the study only. And that can be make research topics, and I think it can be implemented to the ground too. So, you know, Nepal is landlocked country, but we are talking now about waterways and railways. Railways, the department, now it is established a Department of Railway. In Department of Railway is established in 2011, but it is came into operation only few years back. And at the moment, we do not have technical professionals in this field. So neighboring country, India, is helping us to have technical professionals in this field. Similarly, in waterways, we have established a shipping office in 2019, and it is in initial phase and having some studies. Regarding railways, you can see we have proposing from eastern part to western part of Nepal and linking to Kathmandu. Regarding the architectural education, urban planning and urban design education in Nepal, we have architecture, B-Arts in 6 different departments, and urban planning in only one department. It is in Institute of Engineering. And urban design profession is very new to us. It is started only in 2007. So this slide that I am indicating that this urban planning, architecture, urban design are very new to Nepal. Architecture, if you go around the city, you cannot see the landmark structure is touched by architects and urban design. So my message is we need a critical mass of architect, urban planner, and urban design. I think there is shortage of urban planners in Nepal by 7 times. And not talking about urban design because it is very new to us. And in the case of architect, you cannot find good architect in the market. And they are concentrated in Kathmandu Valley only. Few years back, I was in western part of Nepal. And that time I was one of the executive member of Society of Nepalese Architect. And I thought, why not to meet with architects of that city. Then I had a meeting, and when we were introducing each other, I came to know that nobody were architect. So they are working as an architect, but they are civil engineers. So this is the normal scenario we have. All the big modern buildings have been designed by non-architects. Initially, conceptual design might be designed by architect, but it is carried on by civil engineers, mostly civil engineers. So this is the scenario. We do a lot of planning. We do periodic plan. We do integrated urban development plans. So there are number of plans that we are working on. The lowest level plan, we call it local level plan. And nowadays we are not doing master plan, but there are a number of plans that we are taking place. And people are confused with the plan that we are doing. What is periodic plan? What is integrated urban development plan, master plan, local area plan? So that's why the Urban Development Acts became vital to minimize the planning types. So the slide shows there are 27 new towns and 13 smart cities in Nepal. And these new towns and cities has been increased every year, regardless the financial aspect, the investment in the cities. And these are the new towns along the Middle Highway. This is the project that you have already mentioned, Urban Governance and Development Project, Emerging Town Project. So there are World Bank supported project and ADB supported project. And New Town project is government supported project. A number of projects is going on, and all the municipalities have been involved in preparing plans. There are a lot of initiation to manage solid waste within the cities. This is the typical landfill site that has been going on construction. So I came to do some concluding remarks. And this is also opinion that I have mentioned here. This is my individual opinion. Going through all the slides, you can make out how Nepal is having challenges, urbanization challenges, and how we are making effort to meet this challenge. So this is the concluding remarks that I am having is very personal. One of the important remarks I am making is architects, landscape architects, urban planners, urban designers, geomatics engineers. These are the very key professional for developing. But these professionals are inadequate number. If you go, I have already talked that all the projects in Nepal is not handled by architects and urban planners and landscape architects or urban designers. Mostly public projects are handled by engineers. So it's only because these professionals are less than. And regarding the formulation and implementation that I have highlighted here, plan has been formulated, but the implementation is very weak. Plan is good approach of formulating participatory approach and involve almost all related experts like urban planners, infrastructure planners, even economists, sociologists. I mean, all the related professionals. A team and do the implementation part is very due to various reasons. One of the major reasons is there is a big gap in investment and implementation. So what I felt that only the government should not be responsible for developing city. Individuals also responsible for developing and shaping the city as we desire. With that notes, I left here this slide revisiting urban planning and design norms from the perspective of COVID-19. Whether we should go for low rise or high density or high rise, low density. Either public transport or private transport or bicycle. So these are the questions, issues that we are talking. Whether our city should be planned differently from today's that we are planning. This is the point that we have to consider for our future urban design and planning. With that note, I like to notice that maybe you all know with the support of UNESCO Institute of Technology, students from Sri Lanka, and Nepal, and Japan, they have constructed this satellite and it is in the low orbit at the moment. So with this information, I like to thank you and conclude my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, architect planner Sarita Maski, for your comprehensive and interesting presentation about Nepal challenges and initiatives.